Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the much anticipated palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, the Riviera palette. My eyes were on this palette immediately when it was revealed by Norvina on Instagram. I was excited about it in particular because it's so different from any other Anastasia palette that has been released in the past. It is just bright and vibrant. It's got so many fun colors that you can play with. And so I drove to a Sephora store. I actually picked this up in person rather than placing an order online, and I've had it in my hands, and this is the first time I'm actually going to be playing around with it. I normally don't do first impressions of eyeshadow palettes because I like to take my time to get to know a formula before I sit down and give you my final thoughts on it, but I do feel pretty confident with the Anastasia formula for eyeshadows. They have always been good to me in the past, and I'm hoping that this palette won't disappoint either. I wanted to add a little bit of a twist to this video because I know this palette is a little bit up there in price. I think I spent $59 on it. It ended up being around $60 and change for me in Canadian dollars. So this is a palette that is a luxury item, and it's a nice to have, not a need to have. And I thought I would share a dupe palette with you that I found that I think might actually work in substitute to this palette, and I think it's this one here from ABH Cosmetics. This is the Festival palette. It was released, I believe, last year if I'm not mistaken, and I think the colors in here are very similar to that of the Anastasia palette. I think when you put these two palettes side by side together, they have a lot of similarities, and so in today's video I am going to be creating an identical look using both of these palettes. Obviously on one eye I'm going to use the ABH Cosmetics palette, and on the other eye I'm going to be using the Anastasia palette. Also, apologies in advance if I'm sounding a little bit nasally or my voice sounds a little bit different. I am under the weather at the moment, but I did want to sit down and film this video because this is one of the most exciting releases I think of 2019 so far in the makeup world. Just before I dive into using the palette, I did want to talk about the actual packaging a little bit. This palette is pretty much the same size as all of the other Anastasia palettes, except the exterior of it is a canvas material, which is actually quite nice. I'm hoping that this won't get as dirty as some of the other velvet palettes that I have, like the Soft Glam palette, the Modern Renaissance palette. The other ones had this like velvet cover on them. This one has a canvas one, which I kind of like. When you crack it open, it does have a large mirror, a protective layer for all of the shadows, and of course the Anastasia brush. I have been vocal about saying y'all can get rid of this brush here and add like another row of eyeshadow. I would so much more appreciate the extra eyeshadow than this eyeshadow brush. Some people actually like the quality of this brush. I don't generally use those brushes. I have ones that I like and use a lot more, so that one just kind of goes into a side bin. For anyone who is curious, this palette is made in the USA. It has a shelf life of 18 months and it is cruelty free. It does have a mixture of eyeshadows as well as pressed pigments, and the pressed pigments in this particular palette are Bahamas, Cannes, and Palm. I do like that all of the ingredients are outlined on the back of this package, and so the first thing I'm going to tell you is that this is not a vegan palette. I do see carmine as an ingredient here. I also notice that it is a mica based formula, and bismuth oxychloride is an ingredient in here that can cause some irritation to those who have really sensitive eyes. Having said all of that, let me bring you in a little bit closer and let's create a look using these two palettes. Oh, party people, being sick really sucks. I have not been feeling well the last few days. I was running a fever a little bit earlier this week. Luckily the fever's gone away, but I am so congested. I'm coughing, so again, apologies for sounding like crap at the moment. I think the first thing I'm gonna do with the Anastasia palette is take this really bright white color over here and use that underneath my brow bone to do a little bit of highlighting. I normally don't start with this step, but for some reason I'm feeling it today. Well, I don't have a bright white color for the other eye, but I am gonna go into this color over here from the BH Cosmetics palette called Trixie. Rather than a matte color, this is a shimmer, but I'm gonna use the same brush and just go under my eye and add that highlight. Moving back over to the Anastasia palette, I'm gonna take this color here called Coastline and use that in my crease and start going in there. I always like to build up my colors rather than going in there super heavy-handed, because then you can't really backtrack, you know what I mean? In the BH palette, I don't have an exact match, but I am going to take Candy over here, which is a bit of a shimmer color, and mix it in with a little bit of this matte color over here called Escape. That's actually not a bad match. I thought this one with the BH side was gonna be a little too dark, but it actually looks pretty good. And for anyone wondering, I am using this a color switch in between my colors. I just quickly swirl my brush around in there, I clean it off, and then I dip into the necessary palettes just so I don't have to use a million different brushes. The first color I actually want to use for my inner corner is this one over here called Yacht. It's like a dirty gold color, and I'm gonna bring you in a little bit closer so you guys can see this. I very lightly dabbed into that color and you guys can see how much kick up there was. I think that's the case because these shimmer colors in the Anastasia palette are just pressed very lightly, not really firm. It's not a deal breaker for me. Again, I don't really care about things like that, but it's just something I want you guys to be aware of just in case there's any fallout on your cheeks when you're doing your eye look. What I also want to try is spritzing my brush with a little bit of Fix Plus. So I've got a little bit of the product on my brush and then just going in with some Fix Plus. I feel like it just makes it a little more metallic. From there, I'm gonna go into this color over here called Seaside. I don't know what it is about it, but I think it'll actually blend really nicely with this color. And you know what? I'm not liking Seaside, that silvery color that I put down, as much as I thought I would, even though it does look like a pretty color. So I'm gonna go ahead and cover it up with Seychelles just a little bit. So blending that gold color called Yacht a little bit more with this teal color. And now I'm gonna go into Palermo, which is this beautiful metallic pink color. And I wanna see how that's gonna look sort of on the outer corner a little bit. Well, this is real life for you. I've gone ahead and added the pink and I actually just don't like the way it looks. I think it looks too clown-like and I'm not able to blend, I guess for obvious reasons, the teal color into the pink color as well as I thought I could. So I'm just gonna go over that pink color with the teal color. Thank God for its opacity. And for the outer corner of this eye, I am gonna use Palm. Now Palm is one of the pigments that is in this palette, so definitely use this with caution. Try not to get any into your eye because it's not meant for use in your direct eye area. Now that it's all blended out, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I actually have quite a bit of fallout underneath my eye area here. So I'm quickly going to clean that up off camera and I'm gonna come back and complete the other eye with my BH Cosmetics palette. That is what the eye looks like. Am I the happiest with it? No, I don't think I am, to be quite honest with you, but I did clean it up a little bit more. So in addition to just cleaning up some of the fallout that was on my cheek over here, I did go back in and I added some more Seychelles to my lid and I spritzed it with some Fix Plus, which I think gave it a little more vibrancy to it. So I do like it laid on my lid a little bit more, and I'm pretty confident that once I put on some liner and lashes, it's gonna come together really, really nicely. Going into the BH Cosmetics palette, I'm going to try and replicate Yacht over here, and I don't have the perfect match. If I were to use just one color, I would go ahead and use a Flash over here, but what I'm gonna do is actually mix Flash with a little bit of Magical, and I'm gonna add some of Hipster, which is this brown color over here. Mixing them all together, I'm hoping that I'm gonna get a similar sort of dirty gold color. I'm gonna spritz my brush just a little bit and grab Magical on its own now and just see if I can get it to really stand out. Boom, there we go. I'm now going to take this color down here called Ultimate, and that is the closest I have to replicate Seychelles that was in the Anastasia palette. Not even gonna lie, I actually like the BH Cosmetics teal a lot more. And doing the same thing I did on this side, I'm gonna go into Hipster, this matte brown over here, just to add some dimension to the outer corner. And for the lower lash line, I am gonna go back into the matte browns in each of the palettes and just stamp it underneath my lower lash line. And to add a little bit of brightness to my inner corner, I think I'm gonna go ahead and use this color called Mediterranean from the Anastasia palette. And I don't have anything super similar in this particular palette, but I am gonna try using Wicked. Like I said, there's no exact dupe for this Mediterranean color in the BH palette, but what I decided to do was actually mix Wicked, which is this purple color, and Trance, this blue color down here, and I ended up getting what you see on my eye. And yeah, I do think it looks different from Mediterranean, but I think that's about the closest I'm gonna get to replicating that color using the BH palette. And now I'm gonna pop off camera to finish off my eyes by adding some liner, mascara, and lashes, and I will be right back. The only thing I feel like I need to do to finish off this look is add an inner corner highlight, and I'm actually just gonna take the Reezy highlighter. So this is the collaboration she did with Anastasia, and I'm just gonna add that nice pop of gold in both of my inner corners. Boom, just like so. And now I feel like the look is complete. Overall, I really enjoyed using the Riviera palette. I did end up playing with a little bit of color today, which I had a lot of fun doing. Would I say this is your everyday palette? Probably not, although I can definitely see ways in which you can incorporate this into your daily routine. I do really like the shimmer colors. I think they are best applied either with your finger or with a wet brush. I think dry they look a little bit blah, although they can still go on nicely. I just think if you want more of a pow behind your color, you're gonna wanna wet your brush or apply with your finger. In terms of the matte colors, I didn't get to experiment with a lot of them. I only played with these three here, but they did not disappoint. They are basically very similar to the other Anastasia matte colors that I've used in the past. They do blend out quite nicely. The only color I'm gonna say I did have a little bit of an issue with, and that's only because I think I had this pink down on my lid and the color just didn't want to blend on top, was this brown pigment down here called Palm. That one didn't really blend out very easily for me. I really had to work my brush in there until I finally got a good blend, but that could totally be user error on my part, so keep that in mind. Overall, I do think this is a very beautiful palette. If you don't have something like this in your collection, I think you should definitely go ahead and pick it up. You will not be disappointed with it. I just love that it's so different from anything else that Anastasia has ever released. I genuinely love this BH Cosmetics palette. I think you have so many fun colors that you can play around with in here. I find these metallics actually wear so much better on the eyes than the Anastasia ones do, just being completely honest with you. This teal was far more vibrant, I think, on my lid than the Anastasia one was. However, I also understand that the Anastasia one did have a slightly darker undertone to it, so that's something else to keep in mind. I am very, very pleased with this BH Cosmetics palette. I think it is one of those palettes in my collection that I like to turn to, especially in the summertime when I am looking to play with a little more color with my eye looks. Even to go on vacation, I think this is a palette that I would actually take with me. If you're debating whether or not you want to pick this palette up, I think you totally can if you want to. Anastasia puts out great palettes, and this is something that I don't think I've ever seen in any of their eyeshadow palettes. It's just so bold and vibrant. It's perfect for spring and summer. But if you want to save yourself a little bit of money, I think you can achieve a very similar looks using the BH palette that you can using the Anastasia palette. I think when you guys look at them close together, you can see that a lot of the tones are really similar, and if you just mix some colors together, I think you can achieve very similar shades. And I really hope I tried to demonstrate that for you by creating this particular eye look, or eye looks actually. At the end of the day, I think if you're standing far away and you're not really looking too closely, my eyes look pretty much the same. If you are gonna come right up to my face and inspect both of my eyes, then you're obviously gonna see some differences. But I would say you can save yourself some money and use the BH palette if you really want to, or if you want to splurge, I don't think you'll be disappointed with the Anastasia palette at all. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was this sort of weird review slash try on slash first impressions, I guess, and dupe video as well. I really enjoyed filming it. I hope it actually turns out really good during the editing process, and I really hope you guys just enjoy watching the video. Y'all know what I'm about to say right now. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. If you want to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can always follow me on all of my social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, and I'll be sure to link everything for you in the description box below. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you are all having an amazing day no matter where you are in the world. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!